So I said last review I wouldn't be surprised if the boy that stole Ash's car died in the opener of episode 3, and I am so glad I was wrong, because that car possession scene where he is just wrecking those kids was majestic as fuck. But first off, before going into that, who sees a creepy, evil-looking book and just starts reading from it? And I get it, compulsions, whatever. No. Just no. This is like one of the classes we need to have in high school to teach kids the dangers of reading from books that look fucking scary. Just don't do it, okay? Just don't do it. I'm not joking either. Don't think this is a joke. It is not. And round of applause to her boyfriend, who is just completely oblivious as she's reading from a book and doing some sort of incantation in a language that he probably doesn't understand. And I understand he had other things on his head, but that's still no excuse. The dick biting was just not cool, but I say that, and then I'm now going to say that the hubcap going through the teen and creating that giant hole in him was so cool. Him looking down and seeing that hole in his body and his organs sliding out was majestic. The possessed car, Ash's baby in general, terrorizing those kids was so much fun. How it just fucked with them and lured them out. The tires destroying the kid's face and head was so brutal. It was like that scene from Death Proof taken up a fuck ton of notches. I expected the last boy to have a more gruesome death, but I guess watching your friends die and then being ran over is pretty traumatic. Now my eyesight wasn't good enough to see if when the car hit Ash's dad, if the girl was still inside there and alive, so now I'm wondering in episode 4, unless you already know the answer to this, if the car just ended up killing her, so Ash is going to open up the car door and find her dead, either strangled by the seatbelt, or maybe it slams on the brakes and she goes through the window. Or maybe the car actually lets her live and she gets out and tells Ash what happened. I'm really interested to see whether she lives or dies, or maybe she even gets out of the car and then just dies from some sort of attack by the car or other things such as a deadite. Awesome cameo with Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi's little brother, or as I knew him since I was a little girl, Joxer. I'm really happy to see Bruce and him teaming up again in another show, and in case you're not familiar with the Evil Dead movies, he's always had various roles in all the Evil Dead installments, so seeing him here isn't surprising, but so much fun. Ash's dad, who didn't see his death at the end, when the music was playing and he was in the street, we all knew what was coming. Now, what was that goddamn secret that supposedly would change the fabric of Ash's being? I'm happy they did come to an understanding though, and forgave each other before his death. They were so alike with their rice and beans and shamelessly hitting on women. The fact he still tried to love his son while believing his son murdered his daughter says a lot for the bond he had with Ash. Yeah, he wasn't a super great dad after that, but he tried. And I did like the little competition on the bowl between them and how his dad was just destroying him. Flicking him off was also nicely done. Ash saving his dad from the deadite, which, first off, how was her ripping her hair out not a dead giveaway for Ash? You like that wordplay? You like it? Stay around. I'll do more. I feel like he should have known something was up as soon as she accidentally pulled some of her own hair out. But anyways, he saves his dad from the deadite and still manages to oogle her breasticles because Ash is nothing if not a professional. And what I really liked was at the end where his dad finally realized that Ash wasn't full of shit, Ash hadn't murdered his friends and his sister slash Ash's dad's daughter, and that Ash was actually a hero. And despite the fact that next episode Ash is probably going to be back to making quips, isn't really going to show a terrible amount of emotion for his dad being dead just because that's his character, we do know that them being able to reconcile does mean a lot to Ash, even if he doesn't show it in a way we would expect normal show characters to do so. The Ruby and Kelly team up was pretty obvious and going to be awesome. I know Kelly's driven by her hatred and need for vengeance, but leaving Pablo, even if he did say some things to help push her to do it, seems a bit off. Those two are besties. A few sentences really pushed her to just leave Ash and Pablo. But I really do wonder how Ruby and Kelly will work out. Ash, despite being a very lovable idiot, manages to keep Pablo and Kelly alive. Without him, how will Kelly do? And is Ruby going to help make her even more of a badass and pass on her knowledge? Or is she simply using her for her own ends? I can see Pablo being a bit bummed out that Kelly is gone, but Pablo gets along really well with Ash, and I really hope that Pablo's admiration and faith in Ash doesn't go away this season with the horrific things that are likely going to be happening to him. But with Pablo not eating, sleeping, and his head being messed up, I imagine we are about to see some really bad, if not very interesting things happen to Pablo. End thought, who didn't think that cute little car montage with Ash was adorable? So I like this episode better than the last one. Don't get me wrong, the morgue scene was fantastic, but as I mentioned in my last review, I'm not one for toilet humor, so the car possession scenes I think were way better than the morgue scenes, and I kept waiting for them to switch back to the car, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm interested in Pablo, Kelly, and Ash, but I want to see what that fucking car is doing to those kids. I don't know, what do you think? What did you think was better, the morgue scene or the car possession scene? And what were your likes and dislikes from this episode? So make sure you like this video, subscribe, and come back for more TV reviews every week. I also do Game of Thrones, Star Wars, comics, and anything sci-fi fantasy or scary stuff related.